My name's Liam Cooper. I fix boats that no one cares about, sleep in a trailer that leaks when it rains, and raise a son who deserves a better life than I ever had. Savannah, Georgia. Humid air, salt in your throat, and engines that don't purr unless you talk to them right. I've been working at Bellman's Marina for 8 years. It's the kind of place where boats come to die and never leave. Mostly small repair jobs, busted fuel lines, rotting hulls, the usual. The pay's crap, but it keeps the lights on, most of the time. My son, Noah, he's 11. Bright, funny, too good for the worn-out world I've handed him. His favorite thing? Sitting on the docks and sketching boats we'll never afford. That morning, a black SUV pulled up while I was elbow-deep in a busted bilge pump. The door opened and she stepped out. High heels on boat oil, silk dress in the heat, sunglasses that probably cost more than my truck. "Are you the mechanic?" she asked. "I am," I said. "What are you?" She didn't smile. "Serena Langford. I need a job done." Quietly, she pointed to the far slip, covered in tarps. "Long forgotten. That boat belonged to my father. I want it restored. Full engine, deck, interiors. But I don't want attention." Everyone at the marina had written it off as junk. Said the hull was cracked, the wiring shot, and no one had touched it in 20 years. But I agreed. Later that night I went down to inspect it alone. While checking the rear engine bay, my flashlight hit something metal behind a false panel. Welded in. I pried it open. There it was. A sealed, rusted box bolted to the frame. Heavy. And locked from the inside. Next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about that box. It wasn't just old, it was intentionally hidden. Welded behind the frame like someone wanted to make sure no one found it by accident. I didn't mention it to anyone. Not even Noah. The marina was quiet that day. Storm clouds over the river. The kind of air that makes you feel like something's coming. I tried focusing on the work. Engine first. Then hull restoration. Boat was in worse shape than I thought. Rotted insulation, broken lines, a control panel that looked like it hadn't seen electricity since the 90s. But something about it kept me in that slip past midnight. Serena showed up again. No call, no sound. Just appeared on the dock like she walked out of the fog. "You touched the box, didn't you?" she asked. I froze. "How did you know?" She looked straight at me. "Because you're still here." Then she turned and walked off. Next morning, the marina's front office had been broken into. Nothing stolen. Nothing touched. Except one thing. My toolbox. Gone. And not just the tools, my backup keys, my USBs, my notebooks. Everything that made me function. I filed a report. Cops shrugged it off. Probably junkies. But I knew better. This wasn't about resale. This was a message. That afternoon, a man in a gray suit pulled up to the dock. Never said his name. Just leaned on the railing and said, "Sometimes old boats are better left to sink." I asked, "Is that a threat?" He smiled. "No, that was a warning." And just like that, he walked away. That night, I stood in front of the box again. I don't know what made me do it. Curiosity, anger, pride. I started cutting it open. And the sound that came from inside? It wasn't metal. It was a click. The moment that click echoed out of the box, I stepped back. It didn't open. It didn't move. Just that one mechanical sound, like something unlocked itself from the inside. I waited. Nothing happened. No explosion. No trap. Just silence. So I left it for now. Next morning, I was replacing the rotted wiring in the engine bay when Serena returned. No makeup, hair tied back, oversized coat. Not billionaire serious. Just quiet. I asked her straight up, "What's in the box?" She didn't flinch. "It belonged to my father," she said. "He told me never to open it. Said it could destroy everything he built." "Then why keep it on a boat in a public marina?" She looked out at the water. "Because it's the last place anyone would look for something valuable. among things no one wants. I didn't push, but I didn't drop it either. Later that day, I caught my coworker Ryan snooping near the boat. He claimed he was just checking something. But I know what that looks like. When I confronted him, he laughed. "Come on, Liam. You really think a woman like her just wants her daddy's boat fixed?" He paused, then added, "Word is that box she's hiding? Langford used to be part of a government project back in the 80s. Black budget stuff, like real Cold War leftovers." I kicked him off the job, told him not to come near the slip again. That night, I returned alone. I finally got the box open. Inside wasn't gold or money, just an old leather-bound journal, stamped with a crest I'd never seen. I flipped it open. First page, coordinates. Second page, a handwritten line that read, "If you're reading this, run." I sat in the engine bay for hours, flipping through the journal. Every page was handwritten. Notes, sketches, naval coordinates, timestamps. Dozens of them. Some crossed out. Others underlined twice in red. It read like a code book from another lifetime. The back pages held diagrams of underwater vaults, submersible access points, and what looked like military-grade storage crates. At the bottom of one page, in jagged pen, Trident Protocol. Not to be recovered. Not to be sold. Bury it deeper. That phrase stuck in my head. When I showed it to Serena the next day, she went pale. The kind of pale that says this just got real. She sat down slowly on the edge of the dock and stared at the journal like it was a ghost. "I thought it was just stories," she whispered. "I didn't think it was real." I asked her what Project Trident was. She looked me in the eyes for the first time without deflection. "My father worked for a division of the U.S. Maritime Intel Program in the 1980s. Cold War stuff, recovering wreckage, submarine technology. But there was one mission he never talked about." She pointed to a specific coordinate in the journal. "This is where it happened, where he found something they weren't supposed to find." I asked her why he hid it. "Because he knew if the wrong people got it, they'd never give it back." Later that night, while welding a new fuel mount to the boat, I noticed something strange. A red dot on the edge of the hull. Then crack. The wood behind me shattered. I dropped flat as a second shot splintered the railing inches from my head. Sniper fire. Someone was watching us. Someone wanted this boat, and everything on it, dead quiet. We left before sunrise. I patched the bullet holes, loaded the journal, packed food, tools, extra gas. Serena brought a gun I didn't ask questions about. Noah stayed with my sister. No explanations, just, "I'll be back. Promise." We took the boat south, toward the Gulf. Skies gray, water like glass. For 2 days, we followed the coordinates written in Serena's father's journal. She didn't talk much. Neither did I. But I could feel something shifting. She wasn't the billionaire anymore. She was the daughter of a man who spent his life trying to hide a truth the world wasn't ready for. On the third day, just past dusk, we reached the spot. Empty stretch of ocean. No landmarks. No markers. But the depth finder went nuts, pinging a drop nearly 500 feet deep. We suited up and dove. What we found, buried in coral, seaweed, and years of silt, was a hatch. Steel. Bolted shut. Naval seals around the rim. It wasn't natural. It wasn't broken. It was placed there. We cleared the edges. Serena ran her hand over the seal. There was a biometric pad. She tried her thumb. It blinked green. The hatch hissed open. Inside was a narrow tube leading down into blackness. We followed. At the bottom, a pressurized chamber with a single titanium case mounted to the floor. No labels. No locks. Just a handle. She lifted it. It opened with a slow click. Inside, a data drive. Still cold. Still pulsing with power. Engraved on the side. Trident Core. Class Black. Not to be activated. Before we could process, my dive watch buzzed. The boat above us was gone. And in the distance, faint at first, came the whump 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 of helicopter blades. We weren't alone out here anymore. We surfaced fast, lungs screaming, hearts hammering. But the boat was gone. Not adrift. Not sunk. Gone. No trace. No debris. Just empty water, and the unmistakable thump of rotor blades slicing through the sky. A chopper appeared above the horizon, matte black. No markings. Not Coast Guard. Not police. Serena cursed under her breath. Victor Crane, she muttered. He found us. I asked, who the hell is Victor? My father's former partner. He was part of Project Trident before he went private. He always believed the tech was still out there. And now he thinks we have it? No. She looked at the drive in her hand. He knows we do. We swam to a rocky islet nearby. Half-sunk, jagged edges, just enough to hide behind. The helicopter circled once, twice, then veered west. Serena opened a waterproof pouch and pulled out a satellite phone. No signal. I looked her dead in the eye. You planned for this, didn't you? She didn't answer. I pressed harder now. You knew someone would come for this. You didn't just want the boat fixed. You wanted someone desperate enough to help you finish your father's mission. Finally, she looked up. I needed someone who wouldn't ask too many questions. And my son? You dragged me into this with him under my roof. Her silence said everything. I never lied, she whispered. But I didn't tell you the whole truth. I turned away, furious, cold, wet. Then a red flare fired up from the horizon. Someone else was on the water. But it wasn't Victor Crane. It was a small rescue boat, unmarked, carrying one passenger. A man, late 60s, bearded, gray hair under a navy cap. Serena's eyes widened. She stepped back. My God, she whispered. That's my father. He stepped off the boat slowly. No guards. No weapons. Just an old man who looked like he'd survived a war no one ever reported. Serena didn't move. She just stared. He said nothing for a long time. Then finally, you opened it. Serena nodded, silent. The old man turned to me. You must be the mechanic. I said. Now I'm just trying not to die. He half smiled. That makes two of us. We brought him inside the abandoned radio hut on the islet, sat in near darkness, surrounded by broken dials and rusted silence. That's when the truth started spilling. My name is Henry Langford, he said. And what we found in 1984, we were never supposed to. He told us everything. During a classified recovery op off the Gulf of Mexico, his team stumbled upon an unnatural energy field buried deep inside an old wreck. One that wasn't on any chart. Inside was an object pulsing low-frequency signals and storing power beyond comprehension. That object was codenamed Trident Core. The Pentagon wanted it studied, but Henry believed it wasn't made for this world. He stole it, hid it in the ocean, left it in a box behind his decoy yacht, thinking no one would touch a broken boat owned by a washed-up nobody. Victor Crane, his closest friend, had betrayed him, tried to sell the tech off to foreign contractors, blacklisted Henry, declared him dead. Serena's hands were shaking. You lied to me. I protected you, he said. From this. He pointed to the data drive. Now that it's active again, Echo 6 will be watching. And Crane won't stop until it's his. Liam asked, What's Echo 6? Henry looked at him and said, The AI system already built to run it. And it knows you're holding the key. That night, the islet didn't feel like land. Felt like a trap. Cold winds. Dead air. Even the stars above looked like they were watching. Serena sat beside her father, staring at the flickering screen on the cracked radio panel. Henry barely spoke. The years had caught up with him all at once. I stood outside with the drive in my hand, trying to decide whether to throw it in the ocean or bury it in my chest. Then the boat came. No sound. Just motion. Fast. Silent. Black. It docked like it had done this before. Victor Crane stepped off. Clean suit, white beard, calm smile. Behind him, two men held someone between them. Noah, my son. Blindfolded, duct tape on his mouth. Shivering. Crane raised his hand like he was greeting an old friend. Mr. Cooper, the man who knows how to keep things running, and yet doesn't know when to quit. I moved toward him, but one of his men aimed a pistol at my chest. Easy, Crane said. I didn't come to hurt you. I came to trade. I held up the drive. You get this. I get my son. He smirked. You really think this is about a drive? This, he pointed at it, isn't tech. It's command. Whoever controls this, controls what comes next. He looked at Henry. You buried the future, old man. And now I'm here to dig it up. Henry stood slowly, pulled a flare gun from under his coat, aimed it at the sky. I'll burn it all before I let you touch it, he growled. Crane laughed. You think this ends with one flare? He snapped his fingers. A drone zipped over the island, its laser locked on Noah. Crane whispered to me, one move, and you'll never hear your boy's voice again. I couldn't move. My knees locked, my mind spinning. My eyes stuck on the drone hovering above my son's head like a vulture waiting for the last breath. Crane looked so sure of himself, like he'd already won. Henry didn't lower the flare gun. He just said, don't give it to him, Liam. No matter what. I looked at Serena. She nodded once. Tiny, brave, tense. Then Henry did something no one expected. He fired the flare. Not into the sky but at Crane's boat. It hit the fuel canister dead center. Boom. Flames erupted. The drone stuttered midair, lost signal, and spun into the sand behind us like a wounded wasp. In the confusion, I lunged at Crane's men, tackled one, grabbed Noah, ripped the tape from his mouth. He was sobbing but safe. Serena grabbed the drive and ran into the brush. Crane screamed. His suit now scorched, he pulled a gun and fired. One shot, then another. The second one hit Henry, square in the chest. He collapsed. I saw red. Charged Crane with everything I had left. We both fell into the shallow water, fists flying, knees scraping the seabed. He was stronger, but I had rage. And in that moment I didn't care who he was. He choked out. You think this ends here? There are more drives. More vaults. More than you know. I looked at him, blood mixing with salt water, and said, maybe, but you're not getting this one. Behind us, blue lights cut through the dark. Coast Guard. Flare had triggered an automatic beacon. Serena planned for it. They took Crane into custody. Henry died in Serena's arms, whispering her name one last time. And I stood there on that beach, holding my son, thinking, this war had started before I was born. But tonight we ended one part of it. 3 months later, things were quiet. For the first time in years, I wasn't fixing broken engines just to keep food on the table. The marina had new funding thanks to Serena. She never called it a reward, but it was, and I wasn't too proud to accept it. Noah went back to school. He started drawing again. This time not just boats, but ideas. Machines that floated without gas. Engines that ran on pressure and light. Crazy things. He told me, Mom would have loved these. And he was right. Serena left the city, disappeared into silence. No press, no articles, just vanished. But every few weeks, a letter would show up at the marina. No return address, just folded paper, written in ink. Updates, hints, coordinates. The last one arrived yesterday. It said, Project Trident was only phase 1. There are 5 more. Vaults scattered across coasts we never searched. My father wasn't the only one hiding something. At the bottom, one more line. This one's in Alaska. Deep. Noah handed it to me with wide eyes. You're not going to go, are you? I laughed. Then I looked out at the dock. The same old boat I once thought was junk. now completely restored, stronger than ever. I turned to him. I wasn't planning on it. He grinned. Yeah, but you never plan anything. I smiled, messed up his hair, and walked out into the evening breeze. Sometimes you fix boats to survive. Sometimes you fix them to chase something bigger. And sometimes you fix one that takes you exactly where you were always meant to be. We thought it ended with a drive. But the truth is, the real engine's just getting warmed up.